Hey guys, it's CDTVProductions here, back again the second day in a row, and today I'm going to be reacting to TM by Brockhampton, the actual final album from Brockhampton. Yesterday I posted my reaction to The Family, which actually ended up being a Kevin Abstract solo album, but it was also very good as well. It was a really good album. Although the more I think about it, man, they should really throw a physical copy of TM into the merch packages as well, because people bought those merch packages on the premise that they were buying a physical copy of the last Brockhampton album. But regardless, TM, I'm here to listen to it today. We've got 11 songs on it, 38 minutes, so still relatively short, but that averages out to about 3.5 minutes per track. I am looking forward to hearing this one, but there is maybe like one main concern that I have with this project, and my main worry is that it's maybe gonna feel more like a Brockhampton compilation album than their final studio album, because as far as I'm aware, I might be wrong on this, and if I am, you can correct me in the comments, but I believe there's almost no, or basically no material on this that was newly recorded for this TM album. So I am hyped up to hear some new Brockhampton content. I just hope that it feels somewhat cohesive and doesn't just feel like a bunch of tracks thrown together to make an album, because I know they want out of that RCA deal so badly. I'm dying to hear some more good new Brockhampton tracks. Let's get started with the album with track number 1 on TM, FMG. Also, can we get a cheeky little thumbs up on this video for consistent CDTV? I think this is like the 3rd day I've uploaded in a row. It's officially the last Brockhampton album and the first one that I'm ever reacting to from the group.
That ain't got me to some motherfucking trouble, man. Texas boy, the way
Feeling a bit of Juicy J in there. Also getting a Iridescence vibe from the production.
Ain't no bitch me. I shake your head in the seas. Ain't no hit on me. Run out, then I swear that nigga see me. Don't be a humble, so I had to flex. 40 acres and a mule on my neck. Better than talk to me with some respect. I didn't make it, I couldn't have guessed. Some of the scene that I leave is grotesque. It's a finesse, yes. Boy, she throwing it so fast, you think she needs some time to jump. I can't see the haters, man. Hey, party closed, let the sheet rock.
Hey.
We coming like a landslide.
FMG was pretty nice. Like I said, the beat reminded me of Iridescence, and that's a Brockhampton project where I really love the switch in style that they made and that different, more sort of like industrial sounding production. And we definitely got that on here. Kevin came through with a great verse with the gay bars, of course, and they were solid gay bars. Solid gay bars. Loved Dom's verse on this. Dom is one of the main members of the group that I'm really interested to see where his solo career goes, because even Kevin said it on The Family, Dom seems like the most lyrically gifted member of the group, and on this verse he was going off. He had a cool little delivery going. The production on it was great, and the 3 members on this track doing the vocals, they all came through on it, so I'm pretty happy with that one. I think FMG was a good opener. So let's keep it going. I wonder if track 2 is going to be in the same vein with the production, if it's going to feel kind of consistent. We'll see. Track number 2, Animal. Okay.
So many stars, look at they column. See me, I need these streets face. I turn in an animal. Don't act like you know me, oh. Don't act like you know me, oh. I doubt I ever make it right. At least I know you feel it now.
I guess this one feels a little bit more Ginger-esque. Okay. Animal was cool. It was sort of like a more trippy version of like a Brockhampton pop style song. Much more wavy instrumental on this one. The instrumental outro on it was really nice as well. It was cool to hear a little verse from Jabari. He's done a lot of production for Brockhampton too. He produced it on this very track. The track felt a little alien. It was kind of cool. So yeah, there might not be much of a theme throughout this album. Maybe we're just sort of revisiting a bunch of different sounds from different Brockhampton eras. But let's go on to the next one, track number 3, Listerine.
The shit they say you know is not real. Me and my dad, we on the top still. Guess the niggas back again. This for all my friends, and specifically my Africans. I rip everything I touch like my last name was Hamilton. What you niggas standing in?
See, Dom has the lyricism and some vocal versatility too. Sounds like you could have a Travis feature on this. Animal and Listerine, I feel like they were kind of consistent with their sound. They go pretty well back to back. Listerine, again, had a bit more of a psychedelic trap style feeling to it. Jabari, really interested to see what Jabari does in terms of solo career now, because as a vocalist on this album, this track and the last one, he sounded pretty damn good. He has almost like a Don Toliver-ish thing going on. And I'm not really a big fan of Don Toliver, but I like how Jabari sounds. I like Jabari's voice on this. This is maybe the catchiest one on the album so far. I think that hook is going to get stuck in my head. Honestly, I'm kind of starting to get into the album a little bit now. Let's get into the next one. Track number 4. No Shoes.
Kiss it, oh, kiss it, oh.
Still bang with the crew I came with. Westside vibe, boy, I can't explain it. Sipping on down, nigga love me and painted. Came out the closet and ended up famous and rich, bitch. You never see me complain again. Came from the bottom, was living with friends, making it work, chasing up ends.
Ooh.
I wanna live in a South career. I want a crib in Japan by Osaka. Lay on the beach in the Caymans for summer, and I wanna spy my neighbors Obama. Bitch, like call me. Been around the world. Eating that good, Michelin star. I'm so happy.
Oh man, this one is just taking off. I want to hear Matt Champion and Rich Brian on a track together.
I got a force. It's pouring out my pores. Yes, sir. Shipping is first. That's just a matter of course. I sold everything but pussy and my soul.
Nice. Oh, I can see why that's the one they released as a single before the album, like a few hours before the album came out, because that was hard as hell, man. The energy on that one, No Shoes is probably, that's my favorite on the album so far. We just started off with Kevin Abstract going off, going crazy over this beat. Again, seems like a bit of like a trap influence on it, but there's a lot of creativity in the instrumental because it's Brockhampton, Matt Champion, just with his smooth swag. He's a swaggy boy. Great chorus from Jabari. Marilyn came through with some energy on this one. Dom was great to close it out. This one, easily my favorite so far. I still think, from what I've heard so far, dropping this and then the family afterwards would have been a better idea, because the family really feels like it closes off the Brockhampton chapter completely. Like, that was the goodbye album. I do really like TM so far. I do really like it. I'm just wondering why they did it in that way, when so far it feels like it makes more sense to do this and then the family. But let's move on to the next one, track number 5, Keep It Southern. We'll see if this is more in the vibe of No Shoes or some of the earlier songs on this.
Lineups like they fresh for a flight. My whole life been glamorized, so dramatized my sexuality, but baby, make it sanitized. And I fuck my thugs ass look. Merlin, I wanna have it banging, keep it southern for your eye.
Sorry, baby, know you looking for a hubby. But the blue faces only thing I was a trusting. God made melody so I can make money.
I wanna have it bang. Life. I wanna have it banging, keep it southern for your eye.
Okay. Going into this with slightly lowered expectations is paying off so far, because I'm really loving this. Keep It Southern was a banger as well. Great hook on this one. Another more fast-paced instrumental. Some great rapping. Marilyn's energy is just unmatched. His lyrics as well. Marilyn fishing in Nazareth trying to catch a bad bitch. Inside her thighs, that's Aurora Borealis. God made melody so I could make money. Marilyn is brilliant. Keep It Southern was fucking great, man. It is feeling like a compilation of different styles of Brockhampton songs, but the actual songs themselves, in my opinion, have been really good. So let's go on to the next one, track number 6, Man on the Moon. I don't know how people feel about this in general, but I'm really fucking with this album. Wow. Man on the Moon was crazy too. I'm gonna get a lot of replays out of these, I feel like. I'm actually really happy with what we got on this so far. While it might not feel like the most cohesive album really, the individual songs on this, I'm actually loving them a lot. That one we got way more of a sort of disco, electronic, dancey vibe. That sounded like something people were doing cocaine on the dance floor to. Just a long instrumental outro on it, and different to any other Brockhampton song I've heard, I'm pretty sure. That was great. Track number 7, Better Things. Another smoother one, okay.
I just found comfort in you.
That's Matt?
Someone that don't treat me like a fool. I'll do better things. Stay with the mic, so keep the advice. You looking like a thief through my eyes. Save me a slice, cause I put the bread first.
Matt's voice sounds really good on this.
Easy does it. Breaking all the rules.
Ooh, and then the synths. Better Things, again, felt like a kind of different thing to everything else we got on here. There was basically no drums on that. It was just a very mellow, smooth, wavy track. We had Matt Champion doing the pre-chorus and the chorus on this one, which is interesting because I've never really thought of Matt Champion as a hook guy before, but he pulled it off really well. I didn't know his voice could go that high. If there's going to be one final Brockhampton album, it should just be packed full of good songs, and I think that's what this is. I guess if I could create the ideal Brockhampton final album, it would be something that calls back to the Saturation era and has a lot of references and a lot of similar themes to that. That would be like my ideal final Brockhampton album, but for what we're actually getting as the final one, I think this is good. So let's go into the next one, track number 8, Crucify Me.
Snakes in the glass, that's like half of what I wanted.
I feel like I'm blending in too much.
I want your names or print it on me. Don't have to know me to put it on me. I got some shoulders for all you fuckers.
I really like how they have segments where they let the producers shine on this album as well, with these instrumental outros. It doesn't feel like something that cluttered should work, but that sounded extremely musical. I find it so funny that Joba's real name is Russell Boring, because that man is like anything but boring when it comes to his vocals. It's like Kevin said on The Family, Joba is the most musical motherfucker he knows, because that man just has vocal versatility for days, man. This one was probably, I would say, maybe the slowest one on the album. I know Better Things didn't have any drums, but this was a longer one. That's definitely not a bad thing, you know. I'm down for the Brockhampton vibes too, but I do hope we get at least maybe like one more proper like rap song. I mean, let's keep it pushing. We have the longest one on the album next, so let's get into it. Track number 9, Duct Tape. Okay, Duct Tape was probably the one I'm the most cool on so far. Maybe it is just the fact that we got like a few slow songs in a row, and that was like maybe like the third slow one. I don't know, I wasn't fully engaged with that one. I feel like it didn't really hold my attention. I did like the Jabari verse that he started with, because right now I feel like I know pretty much next to nothing about Jabari, and we got a little bit of his story on this verse, talking about way back in 2001, I believe he was saying here, when his mum had to go overseas and basically he had to stay wherever he was at the time without her. I mean, how old is Jabari now? He's 26, so in 2001 he would have been about 6-ish years old. I mean, everyone's performance on this was pretty good, but just overall the track didn't really grab my attention all that much, didn't hold it, you know? So let's go on to the next one, the second last track on TM by Brockhampton. Track number 10, Always Something.
Give it a like and I'ma let these niggas on something that they should know. They want day to
it's hurting like a motherfucker. Yeah.
If you the one you wanna check, like you committed to correct. I've been good for my one, I ain't even having you can check.
Stargaze in the days, never take offense. Thin skin turn thick, scar tissue, man.
I don't wanna throw hands, that was never my plan.
Always Something was another one that I felt like was okay. My favorite thing about that one was Joba's verse. You just get to hear that vocal versatility again, man, and his voice sounds really good. I'm excited to see what Joba does in terms of solo stuff, because he could sound like 4 different people on one track, so Joba is going to sound like a group within himself. I feel like we could have maybe used something a bit more energetic to break up these slower songs that have came in since track number 7. There was a good mix at the first half of this album, but since track 7, it's not been bad by any means, but it has like cooled down slightly. But I did really like Joba's verse on it, and Kevin's hook did start to grow on me a little bit more the more that the song went on. So let's move on to the next one, the final track on TM by Brockhampton, and as far as we know, the final Brockhampton track ever released. Track number 11, fittingly titled Goodbye.
It's always a loser, you thought it was cool. Thanks to you, thanks to you.
You're the only one I risk my life for. You're the only one I'm glad to see. Best time of our lives.
That's it right there. Goodbye to Brockhampton. That last track was a decent way to close it out. I'm kind of sad that we didn't get all the members on the last song, but I think, you know, Joba and Matt did a decent job on here. I still feel like The Family would have been the best one to release as the last album. I feel like that should have been the release order, because in my opinion that kind of feels like it seals off the Brockhampton chapter better than this album did. That was an okay way to close it out. Not too much to say about it, so let's go into my overall thoughts, or my initial thoughts on TM by Brockhampton. This was fairly good. I definitely enjoyed the project more in the first half. I feel like, in my opinion, that's where most of the highlights are. The energy is still high, but you do have some smoother, more psychedelic tracks like Animal and Listerine. When we got into the second half, it felt like things got a lot smoother and even more mellow. And towards that second half, I do feel like I cooled down on the album a bit, so I don't feel like I'm going to listen to the second half all that much, but the first half, I definitely got a bunch of tracks out of that, and I really enjoyed the way this thing started off. It's maybe not the perfect send-off for Brockhampton, but I think it was a pretty solid one. At least we did get an album, because they didn't even need to give us an album. They gave us TM. I think as an album, not every single track hits for me, and yeah, towards the end I do cool off on it, but overall, I'm fairly happy with what I got with TM. So before we close it out, and before I maybe give some more of my thoughts on this, let's go through my favorite and least favorite tracks, as we always do. Favorites on TM: FMG, Listerine, New Shoes, Keep It Southern, and Man on the Moon. I think I'd go with those. And as you could probably tell, New Shoes and Keep It Southern are at the tippy top of that favorites list. Least favorites, I'd probably go with like Duct Tape. I think is my least favorite, because that was the one that really kind of took me out of TM a little bit. I just couldn't really stay engaged with that track. It wasn't all that interesting to me personally. It did have the Jabari verse at the start that I liked, and you know, there was nothing necessarily wrong with the content of the track. It's just the sound of it was a little bit dull to me, and it was the longest one on the project. It's not better than The Family for me personally, but I am grateful for some new Brockhampton content. You know, I don't give ratings on my first listens, so do not take this as a final rating. If you want to see my final rating for the album eventually, I'll probably post it on my albumoftheyear.org account, which is where I post reviews and ratings for albums now. But I think I'm probably sitting somewhere between a 6 and a 7 out of 10 for this. That's how I feel about it. I mean, I think that pretty much covers it. That is my thoughts on TM by Brockhampton. How do you guys feel about it? Let me know down in the comments below, and I appreciate you all for watching this video. I am going to be keeping an eye on all their solo projects going forward. I'm interested to see where that goes. And yeah, thank you to Brockhampton for what they've did over the years. So that is the end of this one today. You can click here on the screen to check out my reaction to The Family by Kevin Abstract. And much love to all of my Patreon supporters on the screen right now, with a special shout out to my biggest supporters, and those are Big Daddy Foe, Griffin Upchurch, Diego Victoriano, I Am Regent, Josh Gourmet, and Ryan Shadow 507.